I'm Stuart Thompson, editor of Digital TV Europe. I'm here with Gilles Domartini, who's the CEO of Cleeng. Gilles, direct-to-consumer streaming is massive at the moment. But what are the main things that content providers really need to think about when they're developing a direct-to-consumer offering?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think one of the key challenges is really getting good at e-commerce. I think what we realize more and more is that many of these platforms are coming from advertising space, and many of the industry experts are more advertising experts or broadcasting experts than they are e-commerce experts. And it makes it a bit challenging, as you have a platform that is growing, to really understand, how to best acquire your customer, engage these customers in the long run, and avoid, obviously, that they churn from your platform. So all of these e-commerce dimensions are very important, and we strongly recommend that they all read a bit more about e-commerce, so to optimize all of this.
Great. Now you mentioned churn there. I mean, with streaming competition intensifying and the cost of living crisis, all of these things, to what extent is churn becoming more of a problem for service providers than was previously the case?
I think, like you mentioned, there is an increased competition, and the landscape has evolved a lot in the last 4 years. You used to have really Netflix, that was a key leading operator, but in the past 3 years, between Disney, Hulu, the Discovery Channel consolidation, and many others, Apple obviously, created additional competition to that landscape. So this competition is putting pressure on price and the pricing strategy. That's certainly the reason behind the evolution of the business model and the growth of fast channel. So it's a way to mitigate a little bit, the pricing pressure to offer a free advertising-based solution. So it's certainly important that these broadcasters start to pay more attention at their pricing strategy, pricing elasticity, so to best adapt their offering to the demand that is currently evolving, obviously, due to the inflation and many other factors on the market.
Right. Now, we hear a lot about the vast importance of data in all of this for streaming, and streaming can deliver a wealth of data. But what do the service providers really need to think about in terms of prioritizing when they look at making the use of that data?
Yeah, the use of data, obviously, now a lot of people said data is the new oil. But actually, there's abundance of data, and it's more how do you best use data that is the challenge. In my perspective, what I found important is that we use the data for the benefit of the end user. Sometimes we tend to use data for, I would say, trying to better micro-manage these users or to target even more certain offerings toward them. But it's not necessarily of benefit to the end user, so in the long run it will also affect your churn. If, however, and we had a case, for example, with CBC in Canada, where they really went deep into the different data points that we had in terms of consumption, consumption by price point, the price sensitivity associated with promos, so to create the right win-back campaigns. We saw it's been extremely effective. CBC was able to win back about 35% of their total customers that they lost, and that was a very good way of applying great recipes of data analysis for the benefit of the end user. And the way we could see the benefit is that these users are actually coming back, and you win them back as a broadcaster.
Right, now you've talked a little bit about this already, but how can Cleeng's technology really help solve some of the pain points that content providers are experiencing?
Cleeng technology has matured a lot in the last 3 years. We now have 4 main components in our stack. The main component is the subscriber management piece. Very easy to use, very easy to deploy. We provide a lot of agility and speed in this deployment. The second element is merchant services. So if you don't want to deal with tax calculations, tax remittance, both in the US and in Europe, we have a service that does all of this for you, and that helps to roll out much faster. A good example, we signed the NFL in May this year. We started to work on the migration with them since May. In July, we completed that migration, and we already started the preseason 1st of August. So you see, very, very short time frame, thanks to very high integration between the various modules that we have.
Right, absolutely. And when you look at your offering for providers, what do you think makes you stand out from the competition? What would you identify there as the key?
I think there are two main aspects in our platform. We have a strong operational set of tools. So the subscriber management, the payment, customer care services that we do manage through machine learning solutions and automated chatbot that allow really to scale very fast this type of services. Back to my case with NFL, in the first month, we had more than 100,000 inquiries coming from customers, but we could deflect about 86% of these inquiries thanks to the breadth of content that we have and the automation of that content on the front end through the chatbot and other tools. So that's for the operational part. The second part that really makes us stand out is the analytics components. We have a dedicated data lake environment with really advanced monitoring of the key steps of the end user journey, from initial sign up to payments and upgrade, downgrades, the issue with customer care, and down to win back. And this type of analytics, normalization of the data, the simplification of that data and making it very actionable is really what makes us stand out.
Okay. Now you mentioned the NFL. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and also some of the other projects you've been working on recently?
I think beyond the NFL, we've also been working in the Nordics with the Egmont Group and the launch of Nordisk Film in Denmark. I think that's a pretty large endeavor, which is a very nice and also fast implementation that we could do with them. We launched with Gilles in Switzerland, their Red Sport, which is a nice implementation. We have a number of other sport ventures which are further expanding. We had Big Ten networks last year that started, and they are further increasing their reach. So there's really a lot going on at the moment, including with our partners. Very proud to see the type of integration that Axido has been doing. We have good relationship with Quick Play and a few other partners in the market. So this kind of partnership ecosystem is really booming at the moment.
Fantastic. Gilles, thanks very much.
Thank you.